Proverbs 8. Doth not wisdom cry, and understanding put forth her voice? She standeth in the top of high places, by the way in the places of the paths. She crieth at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in at the doors. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of man. O ye simple, understand wisdom, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness, there is nothing froward or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that find knowledge. Receive my instruction, and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and find out knowledge of witty inventions. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride, and arrogancy, and the evil way, and the froward mouth do I hate. Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom. I am understanding. I have strength. By me kings reign, and princes decree justice. By me princes rule, and nobles, even all the judges of the earth. I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me. Riches and honor are with me, yea, durable riches and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, yea, than fine gold, and my revenue than choice silver. I lead in the way of righteousness, in the midst of the paths of judgment, that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance, and I will fill their treasures. The Lord possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was. When there were no depths, I was brought forth, when there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills, was I brought forth, while as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the depth, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea his decree that the waters should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth, then I was by him, as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth, and my delights were with the sons of men. Now therefore hearken unto me, O ye children, for blessed are they that keep my ways. Hear instruction, and be wise, and refuse it not. Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. For whoso findeth me findeth life, and shall obtain favor of the Lord. But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul. All they that hate me love death.
Amen. It's Friday, September 19th, 2014. This is your host, Mike Callahan, and welcome to the Watchman News. Some pretty powerful words, I would say. Wow. I like scripture like that. I really do. That chapter says a whole lot in it as to who we are supposed to be, how we are supposed to be, how I wished I could see the world. So anyway, we've got a lot of news tonight, and I figure we'll start off as usual with suspicious observers, and then go from there. Hopefully I can cover everything. So let's do this, and then we'll get rolling with that.
Good morning, folks. First things first, yesterday's noted plasma filament is destabilizing and possibly getting ready to erupt. That'll be something to watch for today. While we await that event, one is already underway at Earth. When a coronal hole pushes faster solar wind out, it reaches slower particles out ahead of it, bunching them up like snow on a shovel. Impact of these streams looks like rising density in orange, followed by a sharp drop-off and a speed ramp in yellow to show the faster plasma. That's what we got the last few hours, surging our magnetosphere into a geomagnetic storm. This is that same coronal hole from down south departing now, which ramped our quake watch that saw the Guam 7-pointer. Luckily, our shield did its job and kept the plasma out. Something interesting, during a little GOES blackout yesterday, we took an M2 solar flare from one of the incoming sunspots. Solar Demon caught it, and there's no geo-effective component. The sunspots are only relevant on the incoming limb. Spots north have decayed since the M flare, while the southern groups look worth a gander later this afternoon. Bartol was kind enough to stop offering us neutron data, while on the right we see a steady climb continuing. Looking at the next coronal hole, about 36 hours from being Earth-facing, Earth has already passed from negative near-Earth influence to positive, so the quake watch ramps up yet again. Interestingly, this positive northern opening has a southern extension dipping below the solar equator. You can see those dark incoming patches revealing the coronal holes here. Bottom right is the one that made our geomagnetic storm. Mark your calendars, folks. We've got a total lunar eclipse coming in just under 3 weeks. It will be visible for a good portion of the planet, excluding Europe. Take a moment to note if you will see the event on October 8th. Pretty picture of the day is an algae bloom in the Bering Sea, courtesy of NASA's Earth Observatory. I thought something pleasant would be good to lead the stories today because the rest isn't too happy. The storms from the tropical remnants have been a nightmare from California to Texas. Goodbye, vehicle. Some places got lucky, others not so much. We're entering the last couple days of risk from these storms, and with Hurricane Polo readying to shoot out to sea rather than come north, hopefully relief will be soon. Not here yet, though, and a northern flow to a low in the Hudson Bay will extend storm warnings beyond the southern flood zones tonight, well up into Canada. Also note that New England, on the lead edge of that high pressure, has snow warnings. Just something to think about if you're in the Midwest or West Coast heat areas. Other tropical storms include Feng Wong, north of the Philippines, set to smack Taipei, then Shanghai, then head towards South Korea. This is a little weird. Eduard is about to hook southward as a new low on the African coastline is slated to shoot north right at it. Should be interesting over the next few days. Primary Euro watch today focuses on just the Atlantic low. It's been a pain sitting still for days and days, and the flooding is already taking its toll there as well. Sorry to say, but there is more coming today. Down under, a big low is atop New Zealand with the convergence riding over Tasmania as well. There are tonight's storm warnings there. We got shots of our star to close. Enjoy this brief quake lull since the big one in Guam. More coronal holes are at our doorstep. Also got that filament erupting down south. It's 6:25 a.m. Eastern Time, 3:25 a.m. local. Eyes open. No fear. Be safe, everyone.
As always, thanks to Ben Davidson with Suspicious Observers. The link is down in the About tab. I highly suggest you go and subscribe to him. And I will point out that BP Earthwatch has made a video. There apparently was a filament that had left the sun, I believe, since this came out. So you might want to go check that out. Nobody's screaming the end of the world or nothing, so that's why I didn't feel it was ultimately important to show that video. I've got a ton of news. Hopefully I can get through it all. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I just ran across this story. It's not linked down below. I just ran across it just right before the show, actually. Pentagon deploys 3rd Advisor Division to Iraq. Fort Stewart, Georgia. A force of approximately 25,000 advisors from the U.S. Army's 3rd Advisor Division is heading to Iraq not to participate in direct combat of any kind, the Pentagon announced Thursday. Yes, you hear a smile on my face when I say that. Not a smile because I'm happy they're going there. A smile because of the way it's worded. Make no mistake, we are in full-on advisement against ISIL in the same way we continue to advise countries against Al-Qaeda and its affiliates. Pentagon spokesman Rear Admiral John Kirby said at a press conference, using an acronym for the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. While noting the division was comprised mostly of combat troops from its former unit name, the 3rd Infantry Division, Kirby cautioned that using this restructured unit would not lead to advisement creep. It's made up of 3 brigade advisor teams. Among these are the mixture of various advisor types, including infantry advisors, armored advisors, artillery advisors, and attack aviation advisors, Kirby said. Sources confirm the new unit was formed after the Pentagon leaders realized direct ground combat, I can't speak, and trying to impose U.S. will on the enemy and negative effects. I don't understand that. And it was better to advise them into submission. Yeah. Submission. It was better to advise them into submission. Huh. What's that sound like? Geneva Conventions do not specifically limit any type of advice, allowing the new 3rd Advisor Division to utilize the Vietnam-era M2 advice throwers, Kirby said. Also noting that the deployment of the M1A1 Armored Humanitarian Relief Vehicle and the F-16 Fighting Advisory Falcon. Although the Pentagon officially declined to give much detail as to what types of advice would be used, sources told Doubleblog the troops will be authorized to engage with 5.56 and 7.62 millimeter advice whenever necessary. In some instances, and with higher authority, the division could use 105 millimeter and 155 millimeter advice, along with 500-pound joint directive advice munitions. So it's advising now, right? I'm sorry. Well, they did say that it was better to advise them into submission. So that's what they're calling war now. They're calling it advice. I wonder how long it's going to be before they give the U.S. citizens more advice. I think we're going to be seeing it soon. It's pretty crazy. Let's go on to this. What I originally prepared for you. And it seems like they were kind of trying to give this guy advice, too, these kids. Woodruff high school students made to remove American flags from vehicles. Woodruff, South Carolina. 7 on your side was contacted by several upset parents who say Woodruff high school students were made to take down American flags from their vehicles on September 11th. Spartanburg District 4 Superintendent Raleigh Liston said 4 students arrived at the school Thursday morning with U.S. flags propped up on poles in the pickup truck beds. The school's principal, Aaron Fulmer, confiscated the flags because he said it was against district policy to draw attention to one's vehicle. The flags were returned to the students at the end of the day. The students were not punished. Fulmer tells us officials are meeting with the student council next week to look into a possible policy revision. Parents have contacted us to let us know about a protest that is being planned in response to the flag removal that is set for Monday morning. A post on Facebook reads, "Please come out Monday morning and stand up for our student rights and our rights. 7:50 a.m. Sidewalk in front of the high school. Bring an American flag with you." So there you go. And then there was another article from the same website about them protesting. Group protests Woodruff High School's flag removal. Several people showed up with American flags to protest Woodruff High School's decision to make students remove flags from their vehicles. On September 11th, 4 students showed up at the school with the U.S. flags flying from their vehicles. The flags were confiscated after officials said it was against school district policy to draw attention to one's vehicle. The flags were returned at the end of the day and the students were not punished. Parents who were upset with the decision went to social media to voice their opinion. They also planned the protest, which took place Monday morning. Around a dozen people were seen driving by the front of the school with flags flying on their vehicles. A group of about 10 or more people were seen standing on the sidewalk waving flags. Parents told us the protest was to show their opposition to the zero-tolerance policy. Spartanburg District 4 Superintendent Raleigh Liston contacted us Monday morning to let us know Monday is America Day, and is part of a series of themed events leading up to homecoming. He says even before the flag controversy, students were scheduled to come to school wearing patriotic clothing. Principal Aaron Fulmer told us that school officials are meeting with the student council this week to look into a possible policy revision. So it's interesting that we would even need or feel the need to even go there. And I mean, come on. I understand. No, I don't understand. I don't understand. Why can't your vehicle's outside, and that's your private, personal property. You should be able to do with it as you please. You know, they could say anything was attracting attention. If you put new rims on your car, oh, that's attracting attention. These laws, these rules, it's crazy. It really is. Really is. It's absolutely nuts. They wouldn't even, one of the cars I drove in high school, I bet you they wouldn't even allow in the parking lot. Really wouldn't. Really wouldn't. I had a 1980 Oldsmobile Omega and went out to I wasn't always, and I'm still not a perfect little angel, but I went out to a road party in my younger days, my high school days, and they were supposed to, we were supposed to be at a road painting party. I didn't say that. You were hearing things, but anyway, it wound up to be a Mike's car painting party, and while I was, let's say, asleep in the back seat, of the vehicle. I woke up and it was painted. I had an 8-foot CD antenna on the back of the car. So they made it look like, painted it up like a little remote control race car. But anyway, it was an old, junky looking car. It was really no big deal. It's kind of funny actually. But anyway, yeah, I bet they wouldn't even let that vehicle onto the parking lot. And it's sad, I mean, it's sad. We have to fit in this confined little box, or else they have to punish us if they don't put us, if we don't fit in this nice little box that they keep making smaller and smaller and smaller every single day, and getting other people to demand people change to that. That's what gets me. That's what gets me. Anyway, let's go on to the next story. I thought this was kind of funny, and this just gives you an idea too of what's going on, where the attention is today, what's important to people. This is what's important to people. This is what's important to people.
But a young bloke called Jack walks out with the very first iPhone. Okay, so obviously there's a rush of people running up to Jack, and here is what happened when I ran to Jack. Have a look. Okay, now this is the normal iPhone, is it?
This is just the normal iPhone 6. Yeah, I didn't want to be more.
All right, we're doing the reveal. His name's Jack.
Oh, at least you wouldn't read about it, the poor guy.
Did you see the...
Jack and Jill went to the store to get an iPhone 6. The iPhone fell down and broke its crown. Now the guy feels like I can't do it. I'm sorry. Forgive me, Father. But this is sometimes I have rough moments. This is what people think are important. This is who knows how far this will spread on social media, and how many million times I'll see it come up on Facebook. Just watch. I mean, it's already got 1 million views. So yeah, that's what's important today. Kind of funny though. Sorry, I'm not an iPhone fan. Not an iPhone fan. Now, I talked about this the other day. I wanted to talk about it again. I wanted to bring it up again because it needs to be, the information needs to be spread out there. Please, if you know of that, please let them know. Make them aware of this alleged threat. Urgent alert. ISIS calls on Muslims in America to go to homes of U.S. soldiers and slaughter them. Please send this to every military personnel you know. A law enforcement bulletin obtained by FoxNews.com warned that Islamic State fighters have increased calls for lone wolves to attack U.S. soldiers in America in recent months, citing one tweet that called for jihadists to find service members' addresses online and then show up and slaughter them. There will be a continued call by Western fighters and Syrian terrorist organizations for lone offender attacks against U.S. military facilities and personnel, warned a July law enforcement intelligence bulletin from the Central Florida Intelligence Exchange, a state-run agency that gathers, assesses, and shares threat information and works with the Department of Homeland Security. Some of those people that are spying on us. These threats will most likely increase should the U.S. or its allies attack the Islamic State of Iraq and Sham, ISIS in Syria or Iraq. In one example cited in the bulletin, a British jihadist encouraged radicals still living in the West to use Facebook and LinkedIn to find and target soldiers. You could literally search for soldiers, find their town, photos of them, look for addresses in Yellow Book or something, the tweet read, then show up and slaughter them. The bulletin came out long before Tuesday's indictment of an upstate New York man on a raft of terror-related charges, including attempting to kill officers and employees of the United States. Mufid El-Ghi, 30, of Rochester, was also indicted Tuesday by a federal grand jury on 3 counts of attempting to provide material support and resources to Islamic State. El-Ghi was arrested in late May in a Walmart parking lot after a sting in which an FBI informant offered to sell him guns and silencers, which El-Ghi allegedly wanted to use to kill returning American troops as well as Shiite Muslims living in the region. Killing U.S. troops on American soil is an increasing focus of jihadists, according to the bulletin, titled Continued Threat to Military Personnel from Al-Qaeda-Inspired Homegrown Violent Extremists. It was sent out on July 8, 2014, in response to recent social media messaging from Western fighters in Syria calling for attacks against soldiers in the West. Instead of luring radicalized Americans to the Middle East, Islamic State will likely encourage them to stay home and kill U.S. soldiers here, the bulletin warned. U.S.-based homegrown violent extremists could be inspired by this rhetoric to turn their attention towards carrying out attacks at home, the bulletin states. The radical rhetoric is delivered via social media, where Islamic State operatives have long exhorted Westerners to get on a plane and come join the battle. The terrorists now believe they can have a powerful effect from afar just by inspiring attacks inside the U.S. In recent Twitter posts, foreign fighters in Syria have encouraged Muslims in the West to target soldiers with spontaneous attacks using small arms, knives, and guns, the bulletin said. It listed several examples of tweets posted in late June that specifically mention interest in attacking Western military personnel. In one series of tweets, a British fighter formerly with Jabhat al-Nusra lamented the terrorist infighting between Islamic State and groups affiliated with Al-Qaeda. I'm realizing bickering about internal politics is taking up our time too much. The enemies are working what's stopping you from something like learning how to make explosives or learning shooting or killing vulnerable soldiers right now, to the bros in the West. The bulletin also cited an uptick in the chatter on internet forums calling for attacks on Western military targets, with many referring to Fort Hood shooter Nidal Hassan, who killed 13 service members at the Texas Army base in 2009 in a case the Obama administration still labels as an example of workplace violence and not terrorism. Hassan recently announced from prison where he is awaiting execution. He wanted to join Islamic State. A commenter on the Ansar al-Mujahideen English forum reposted a 2009 statement from the radicalized American Adam Gadhan, now a senior al-Qaeda leader, praising his son. The Mujahid brother Nidal Hassan, lightly armed but with a big heart and a strong will, and a confident step, again brought into focus the weaknesses and vulnerabilities of America, and most significantly, the Mujahid brother Nidal Hassan is a pioneer, a trailblazer, and a role model who has opened the door, lit a path, and shown the way forward for every Muslim among the unbelievers, and yearns to discharge his duty to Allah and play a part in the defense of Islam and Muslims against the savage, heartless, and bloody Zionist crusader assault on our religion, sacred places, and homelands. Read the statement. The Intelligence Center assessed in July the military personnel will likely be targeted individually in spontaneous ambush-style attacks similar to the May 2013 machete attack against British soldier Drummer Lee Rigby in the UK. I know that was kind of a long story, but it's important. If you know a vet, make sure you bring it up to them. Make sure that they're aware of it. This could just be rhetoric drummed up from, just propaganda. It could be just propaganda just to get the people riled up, just to, so, but just be ready. It's always good to be ready, even without anything like this. It's good to be ready. It's good to be prepared. Always good to be a watchman. Always. Always. It's a little different story here. This would be a bit freaky. Passengers cry and pray as smoke-filled plane rattles to emergency landing. Play the video here.
Gentlemen, had a right engine failure.
Terrifying new video from inside the cabin of JetBlue Flight 1416. The air thick with smoke.
Keep your seatbelt fastened.
It was just shortly after takeoff when something went wrong.
I heard a weird noise. The landing gear came up and then a pop.
While en route to Austin, Texas from Long Beach, California, the airline says there was an issue with the number 2 engine on the plane.
Please stay in your seats and we'll try and clear the cabin as far as we can. Thank you.
The oxygen masks failed to deploy, according to one passenger, forcing the attendants to manually release them.
We were way over the ocean, probably a couple of miles out, and then you immediately got the smell. And it obviously something burning.
The pilot immediately turned the plane back to Long Beach. You can hear babies crying as the 142 passengers and 5 crew members brace for an emergency landing.
Once we turned around and got over land, it was very, it was jarring all over the place, and then people started to get really worried.
He thought he was going to die.
I thought this was it. My wife was right next to me. We were going on vacation, and I was like, she held me, she was crying, and I was like, well, here we go.
The scariest part of the whole thing probably was when we were coming down for landing, and the flight attendants, they were yelling, brace, brace, brace. And they kept repeating it and repeating it and repeating it, and it was at the top of their lungs.
After landing safely, a round of applause from all on board.
JetBlue 1416 is on the ground. JetBlue 1460 will be evacuating.
The control tower told the pilot smoke wasn't coming from the engine. 4 people were injured. Thankfully, none seriously.
I'm just happy to be alive, I don't think I'll ever be mean to anybody ever again.
Stephanie Elam, CNN, Los Angeles.
He doesn't think he'll be mean to anybody ever again. Did you hear that? That's a little messed up. But anyway, yeah, that would mess with somebody's mind. It definitely looked like an interesting takeoff. So, yeah, it happens. But as long as a plane stays together, it can take quite a bit. And the bigger the plane, the more complicated the plane is as far as how it operates, and more gadgets and all that good stuff. I like ultralights. Pretty simple. So let's get on to the next story here. Also to do with flying. Has to do with something that concerns me. Play the video as soon as it comes out.
So traveling at the airport is about to become a little bit harder for Oklahoma residents. And that's because an Oklahoma driver's license will no longer be accepted as security at the beginning of the next year. That's right. We're talking about a driver's license. To fly won't be enough. All Oklahoma residents will need a passport, even on domestic flights. The state never signed on to the federal government's Real ID Act, which is supposed to make it harder for potential terrorists to get a fake ID. Now, Oklahoma residents will also have to bring their passport to get through security at federal buildings, such as a federal courthouse. This is our topic of the day. Would you be for this requirement for all U.S. residents if it meant better safety? Some of you already taking to Facebook this morning, and Jason writes, no, this is crazy. We cannot even get a law passed that you have to show your ID to vote, and some states are making you get a passport to travel within our own country. Sounds like just another way for Big Brother to track everyone.
Joy says this is ridiculous. Let everyone cross the border, but we need passports to fly in our own country? A lot of you weighing in on this morning. You can keep that conversation going. Just head to our Facebook fan pages all morning long.
I have to agree with both of those comments that they left on social media. Come on, we really need to go against this Real ID Act. For some reason, I want to call it the National ID Act. I wonder if that was a previous one or something that got knocked out. But they've tried doing this numerous times. Now they've got most all the states signed up for it and already complying with it. My hat's off to Oklahoma. Don't be a sheep. Don't do it. Don't do it. We've got to put a stop to this federal government. We do. It's ridiculous. And I'm not saying that in any kind of harsh way or anything like that. do whatever's necessary at the with the situation. If you feel in your heart that you can vote and make a difference with a vote, go right ahead. Just be ready, because I think the people are going to have enough, and I think when the people have enough, that's when you're going to see why they were trying to implement all of this stuff. It's all going to make a little more sense. A lot of things that you hear from people that report news and stuff like I tend to report, some of it sounds kind of crazy, but just wait. This was kind of a crazy story I ran across. Now, mind you, I am very well aware that that the gentleman that was involved in this was committing a pretty serious crime, or they were running from committing a pretty serious crime. I get that. But I think you're going to find how they reacted still a bit excessive. 23 police officers fired 377 bullets at 2 men with 0 guns, wounding two of their own. Adrian Montesano was an armed and dangerous criminal who just robbed a Walgreens at gunpoint and shot a police officer. He escaped in the officer's patrol car, and it was later found dumped at his grandmother's house, where he took her blue Volvo. By 5 a.m., every cop in South Florida was looking for a blue Volvo. When the blue Volvo was spotted, Montesano tried to escape once again. This time he crashed the car, wedging it between a light pole and a tree. What happened next was sheer ridiculousness, according to CBS Miami. Nearly a minute passed before officers opened up, firing approximately 50 bullets at the car and the 2 unarmed men inside the vehicle. The 2 men sit inside the car survived that initial volley of gunfire, according to witnesses. He said they could see the men moving inside the Volvo. Everything went quiet for nearly 2 minutes before the officers opened up a second time, unleashing an unrelenting torrent of bullets that lasted almost 25 seconds. By the time it was over, the 2 men inside the car were dead. CBS 4 News has learned a total of 23 officers fired a total of at least 377 rounds. Bullets were sprayed everywhere. They hit the Volvo, other cars in the lots, fence posts, and neighboring businesses. They blasted holes in a townhouse where a 12-year-old dove to the ground for cover and a 4-month-old slept in his crib. It was like the Wild Wild West, man. Crazy, said Anthony Van Dyter, who barely made it through the back door of his home before the gunfire erupted. Shooting just wild, shooting all over the place. Bullets could have come through the window. Anything could have happened, man. They weren't thinking at all. With a total disregard for the safety of surrounding houses, these crazy cops just let loose their aggression via their weapons. They even shot their own men, wounding 2 officers in the crossfire. This story is like something out of a movie, but unfortunately this gross negligence is a reality. Not to mention that 2 men who never had their day in court are dead. Thankfully, no other innocent lives were lost to this police incompetence. And now for your moment of zen. It's got a little gift in it. But anyway, yeah, it's my concern was not being aware of what's behind what you're shooting. Everybody's supposed to do that when they use a firearm. So, and I think that was just a little excessive. So I understand the whole situation. I'm not saying I would have been real easy on the guys, but I you know, if you have to do something like that, if you feel that's really necessary, some well-placed shots do much better than just a barrage. Because, you know, I mean, that got innocent people. Something very nasty could have happened from that. So anyway, yeah, I just, I don't know. Next story. Actually, I'm running through these pretty quick, I think. Sotloff family tells CBS they were bullied by Obama administration. NBC and ABC ignore. Okay, so Sotloff, this is the family of the allegedly beheaded person over in the Middle East. Now, I say it that way, and I really haven't covered that story. And the reason why is because, if you hadn't heard, there's a lot of people that kind of doubt that story too. And we don't have any video that actually shows it. I mean, come on. Anyway, appearing on Wednesday, CBS This Morning, Barack Barthi, spokesman for the family of beheaded journalist Steven Sotloff, ripped the Obama administration over its handling of the kidnapping of Sotloff and fellow journalist James Foley by ISIS terrorists. We never really believed that the administration was doing anything to help us. We had very, very limited contact with senior officials. Oh, actually, there was a video. Let me let the video
Did you feel like
play.
the U.S. government gave the Sotloff family the help that they wanted?
Not at all. We never really believed that the administration was doing anything to help us. We had meetings with the administration. The family sat with this National Security Council officials, and basically he bullied and hectored them, and they were scared.
This is a serious charge because you're saying that someone within the National Security Council bullied and hectored the Sotloff family. Is that correct?
That's basically what happened. The Sotloffs feel this, and I'm hearing that Dennis McDonough is saying they weren't threatened. He wasn't in the meeting. John Kerry wasn't in the meetings. The family was in the meetings, and then I was in a subsequent meeting, and I know what I heard.
Why would the White House do that to a family?
We don't know. We don't have a view into the White House. We didn't have a very good relationship with the administration.
I found that really interesting. Yeah, it's crazy they came out, but this won't get much attention. I'm sure they'll sweep this under the rug as quickly as what they possibly can. So I seen that, wanted to tell you about that. Now, the next thing I have for you is these pages to load up. Police seize 190 pounds of illegally harvested, what was that? Ginseng. Ginseng. Yes, I'm serious. Ginseng. So we'll play the video. This is ridiculous.
Questions are being asked about a recent ginseng bust made by officers with the West Virginia Department of Natural Resources. Officer J.R. Toner sat down with WVVA to explain the rules and laws around the digging, buying, and selling of ginseng. Now, according to Toner, you're only allowed to buy and sell ginseng in West Virginia from September 1st through November 30th, and you must have a license through the state. He says the ginseng confiscated by the department was sold out of season and not by a licensed dealer. Toner believes drug addicts are harvesting and selling the ginseng for cheap.
Probably been a problem for a lot longer than we've known about it. But the prescription drug epidemic here in Appalachia has really fueled it.
Ginseng must be 5 years old to be harvested legally. Anyone buying or selling it must be registered through the state. Officials fear that if the epidemic continues, within 25 years we may no longer have wild ginseng for trade.
Okay, so let me point this out. The prescription drug problem. The prescription drug problem. And you're blaming it because people have the ability to harvest and sell this ginseng. Wow. It would seem to me that those prescription drugs would have to be prescribed to begin with. So why not crack down on the people that are getting these prescriptions that don't need them, that are selling them? Why? So really? Wow. You know, and that might not be the case. Who knows? Who knows why they were being harvested? I just think it's absurd that something like ginseng. You know, there are people that are getting arrested for going to parks, right? And they're foragers, and they might like pick a dandelion or something because they're gonna go cook it and eat it, you know. And they get fined or they get arrested for picking a weed in a park. I'm serious. It happens. Ridiculous. free. Yeah, we're free. So anyway, I'm going to include a little bit more prepper advice, or whatever you want to call it here. Prepper Groups Revisited, Things to Consider. They write some good articles. So this article is not advocating for or against joining or starting a prepper group. The decision is entirely up to you and your family. There is safety in numbers in some cases, and humans during a crisis naturally seek out other humans. So gathering in small groups is a natural progression during a calamity. Those not prepared or not prepared enough in particular will seek out others for help. Some, if not many, need help to survive the next few hours, days, and weeks. However, once the SHTF is not necessarily the right time, once the SHTF is not necessarily the right time to join a group. Seeking help from others puts you at a distinct disadvantage in a crisis because of your need and obvious vulnerabilities. You can be exploited by certain people or groups, or the outcome could even be worse. A group needs leadership, and once the SHTF, a group cannot be run like a democracy. Leadership must be strong enough to maintain control. Of course, people will have their say in some matters, but the leader is supposedly in charge because of their ability to lead. The person or persons in leadership must be able to make decisions that benefit the group as a whole, and not just benefit a single individual. Decisions will be made that you do not agree with, but once you have a diverse group, you will have a diversity of opinions and ideas, but a good leader can coalesce those ideas and make a decision for the group. Right now, you may believe votes will be taken on every move the group makes, but during a crisis there will not be time for meetings and group discussion. Someone has to lead from the front, and you will have to follow or be left behind. Right now, you might believe that because during your meetings everyone within the group calmly discusses all options, that it will be the same during a crisis. But this is not likely to be the case, however. Once the balloon goes up, someone has to make tough decisions and make them quickly. And you simply cannot have 30 or so people trying to make those decisions. When the sun is shining and the birds are chirping, anything seems possible. Once the world as you know it changes, however, everything planned prior to the event is nothing more than a theory put down on paper, unless, of course, you have been there and done that and still have the t-shirt. It is all an academic exercise right now. It is all about tossing ideas out, brainstorming, and drawing up plans and assigning tasks. Reading the plans aloud makes them sound infallible. Perfect plans until they are not so perfect. Plans are only good on paper until you feel the bite of reality, and the best laid plans are shredded like confetti. And that was like I'm going to cut in there. That's like I was talking to you about before, about being able to adapt and focusing more on how you would adapt in a situation than focusing more on what you may currently have or the ideas you may currently have. Learn to be able to deal with changes along any part of the path that you have planned out. In fact, I would say not to plan a path too far, because then you're going to get too detailed with different situations, and you may be prepared in one particular direction when you need to be a little more prepared in another. And I don't necessarily mean that physically, I mean that more mentally. So just be prepared to adapt. That's probably the most important thing you can do. All right. The group may have a mix of males and females, and various age groups are represented. You can, of course, develop a paramilitary group, but once you go down that path, you are no longer a prepper group, and this can be one of the problems. So ask yourself, what type of group is it, or what type you want it to be? All manner of people are joining the prepper movement, people of all ages, cultures, and lifestyle. The idea behind most groups is a diversity of talent. It takes years of training and experience to become a qualified doctor or nurse, and you need this type of talent in your group, as well as others with certain skill sets and knowledge. Experienced doctors, nurses, retired military, and law enforcement personnel would be an asset to any prepper group. You will need people that can raise crops and take care of livestock, and ones that can cook, and ones without medical training necessarily that can still care for the sick and tend to the children. It takes a specific kind of person that can do this. You do not need people that are just your age, think just like you, act just like you, or only have the same experience as you have. You can't possibly know everything, so a good leader must be able to gather a diversity of talent together to help the group as a whole survive. Once disaster strikes and the group meets at its pre-designated rallying point, what do you do when some members show up with friends and family that the group has never met? Extended family members may have not wanted anything to do with being a prepper. That is until something happens. Family members may show up on your doorstep as you are getting ready to rally with the rest of the group. Where does your responsibility lay? With the group or with your family, friends, or neighbors that show up hat in hand? Group members will have children, spouses, partners, girlfriends or boyfriends, neighbors and friends you never knew they had. Now it's no longer a prepper group but a small community. The plans just went out the window. Of course, careful screening will help eliminate many of the problems you would experience. Once again, though, what type of prepper group do you envision? Is it a community group or simple like-minded individuals with no family, friends, or neighbors with no tether to anyone or community? Some may start groups that are really only beneficial prior to any event. Members get together to share ideas, possibly train others in certain things, and to give encouragement. The groups are merely a way for others to share ideas on how to survive after disaster strikes, but do not intend to get together during a crisis. Then there are groups that do intend to gather during a crisis, but then what? Whose home do you gather at? Does everyone in the group simply abandon their supplies stockpiled at home? Or will everyone simply shelter in place and communicate with each other, with other group members? What is the end goal? What do you expect to accomplish? It's a very good article, some very good questions to ask yourself. I'm going to continue to go with a group, a community is the best way to go about this. And I agree with a lot of the points in there, especially about the differently skilled people, because that's going to be very important. As many skill sets as you can get is going to be important, because there are things, you know, there's just everything's going to need to be done. I mean, people are going to have to eat. They're going to have to be able to maintain some sort of proper hygiene. And some of this stuff, you know, in the beginning it's going to be rough. I mean, yeah, it could be something as crazy as somebody having to keep going back and forth all day to a water source, bringing water. That may be somebody's job. You know, things just aren't going to work like they do now. So we're going to have to make it work. And it all depends on every individual situation. If you already got a bug out location, you have well dug and all that, then you're set, you know, as far as fresh water is concerned. But, you know, I would say talk to loved ones, talk to those that you would feel comfortable with within a group. And just like it talked about here, you know, decide up front what the group's going to be about, you know, and it'd probably be a good idea. You know, mixing all those would be wouldn't be a bad idea either. Having like a paramilitary wing, along with just people that just come to certain meetings, not all meetings, but certain meetings, and learn some survival skills and stuff. That would be a very good service that could be done to the public, or for the public, I should say. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty good article. I thought I would share it with you. Real quick, I need to go here. This is you know what I might do tomorrow, because I don't think I've got it listed, and I want you guys to have the website. I really, really want you guys to have the website. I don't think I have it listed. I'm going to look right now. If I don't have it listed, you're waiting till Monday. Oh, I'm going to make you wait till Monday. Yes, I am. You are waiting till Monday to see that. So anyway, I believe that is what I have for you. Yeah, I wanted to go over that a little bit anyway. It's what was the headline? Let me look again. 32 survival skills your child should know and be able to do. I wanted to be able to expound on them a little bit. So, yeah, with only 5 minutes left, it's probably best if I save that till Monday anyway, because I want to talk about it a little bit. So, but that is what I have for you tonight. I hope you all have a good weekend. May God bless you. May He walk with you. Be one with your spirit. I love you all. You have a good weekend.